Hey, everybody.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome back to the show.
You can tell we're actually starting to, be good here. We have people watching as soon as we get here. Oh, that's nice. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Automotive Podcast. We are here, episode 14. This is, as the title will tell you, the last episode we're going to do for 2024. We're going to do a little holiday breakage here as I do a 6-day-a-week work schedule starting next month. So enjoy your final fun and frivolity with us. We will be back in January, so there's that. So we have everybody here as usual, and then down in that square this time. He's in the wrong place. Is Mr. Ryan Kaiser, who's our special guest for this evening, with his Chrysler spinning in the background there. We'll be discussing that model amongst all the other things that Ryan does. And so, with that, ladies and gentlemen, how have we been doing, Mr. Chester?
I'm doing all right. I'm on vacation for a couple days and I have nothing to do except for build models. So it's a good thing.
That's the life.
Now you can figure out a way to do that full time.
Right. How about you, Sean?
Yeah, I said, Mr. Svensson.
We should talk about last weekend. We were all in the same place at the same time, and
it doesn't happen.
I got what was the name of that show? I've forgotten already. The
Plastic Undercover.
Plastic Undercover. Great show. I really enjoyed it.
Very memorable.
No, it was a really good show. Was that the second show that's been put on for that club, or?
Yes. Yeah. The show actually started as Plastic in the Park, and it was outside. And so then last year was the first year it was Undercover. And so the second year of being Plastic Undercover.
Hence the name. Yeah. No, it was a really good show. I enjoyed it. Good to see you guys in person. I added some. I rarely buy models, but I did buy a few. Came home with a few things. Mr. Tester was kind enough to print me off a trophy truck kit. So I've got a plan to do something pretty bizarre with it. And so that's kind of excited about that. And what else I got? Oh, I picked up one of these kits. I had wanted one of these for a while. I've got a plan. I've been building a different truck than what you guys have seen. And I needed to pull something. So I got a trailer to pull. And what else did I get? Oh, I got another truck kit too. I did not have one of these, and you guys have inspired me with all your Japanese kits. I'm like, man, I'm just not feeling left. I'm feeling left out. I need to get Japanese kits. So that and got a couple other little bits and bobs, but yeah. So that's what I've been up to.
Oh, but wait, where's the money shot? You actually spent money on a model kit there.
Oh, I did actually.
James, we finally worked him. We whittled him down. We broke his $10 model budget here.
I actually forgot I bought this. Surprisingly, no, I bought the. I don't know if you can read that. I bought the Atomic City Dodge Swept Line resin kit. I don't know if you can see the price tag. It was a hundo,
wasn't it?
Yeah, but a super nice kit. In fact, I won't take it all apart, but it's a multimedia resin kit with 3D printed parts and a whole bunch of extra stuff in there. Really nice. I've been wanting one of these. I love these weird Dodge mid-60s pickups, and I was wanting one of those kits for a while, and I bit the bullet and bought one.
Is that going to be on the trailer, or is that going to be on the trailer or pulling it?
I don't know what I'm actually going to do with it.
Okay.
I don't have a plan for it. I just like the truck and really wanted one, and so which is probably that's the worst thing for me. Like I'll buy something and I don't know what to do with it, and it'll sit for 20 years and I will never touch it.
Maybe I'll print you another trophy truck chassis.
That's not a bad idea.
No, Frank, it's not buying a model that's a sign of the apocalypse. It's that he spent a lot of money on a model. We've been sitting here, with our fancy pants multimedia resin kits, racking up incredible amounts of basement value, and he steadfastly refused to spend any money, but he finally cracked them.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I just buy one thing at a time.
I'd say I can't wait to see what the resin multimedia budget looks like for NNL East now. Ryan, I'm sure have been doing things. You're planning to head off to Acme here in the next few days. Go down there to Atlanta with everybody else. So what's going on with you?
Just been prepping for that. Get my car ready to drive down there. Got to build a display set up for the 55. That's my main focal point for that show. Pretty much taking everything on the table over here with me, but that is going to be my main focus for that show. So,
is that a top 10 show or is that a judged?
That's the whole top 10, yeah.
I think
Okay,
it's top
10. Okay.
Have you been to that show before, Ryan?
I have not. My club leader, George Ramos from Diversified, he's been bugging me to go, and finally I cracked and said I'm going to go. So they said it's a show like no other, so it's definitely something I'm excited to go check out and see.
Mr. Downey has been pushing me to come to that one quite a few times.
We need to go on a road trip down south next year.
Sounds like a plan.
It is.
I'll say Ryan and I were talking offline day before yesterday about that. As to with the national, usually in October I go to a show down in Virginia, but nationals being in Tidewater area next summer means that I'm not going to make 2 trips to Virginia next year. So perhaps next year will be my sojourn down south there. It is the show that everyone, at least on YouTube, pushes. It is definitely a YouTube centric as far as the crowd goes for our little world that everybody goes down there for. Plus a bunch of the guys who are already down that way anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I'm excited to meet some of the people down there. Like I use a lot of JPS wheels. I know he goes there and such like that. So things like that.
How many hours of drive is that for you, Ryan?
What's that?
How many hours of drive is that for you?
It's about 12 and a half hours.
Okay.
It's a lengthy trip. Like I said, my other club member, Ricky, me and him are going to tag team to drive down there. So I'm doing a 2-for-1 trip. I got a truck I sold. We're going to tow dolly that down, drop it off with somebody. And his builds are a little bit bigger that on a plane they won't fit. So kind of works out for everybody that he drives down with me. We drop that truck off. We go to the show and everybody's happy. So plus it won't be that long of a trip on me. It's both back and forth on the drive, so.
You mean Ricky's going to sleep and you're going to drive for 12 and a half hours, right?
No. Actually, he's going to drive the first leg. So I'm going to sleep because I work 10-hour days. I won't get home till later. So he'll drive the first leg and then I'll sleep and then I'll probably do the last leg. So.
How many shows do you go to a year, Ryan?
It depends. So usually I do NL East, and then I do the NL Mid-Atlantic in Maryland. And then usually my summers, we're on vacation all summer long, so I miss like September Showdown, things like that, which I wanted to go to this year, but the job I do for a living, we actually went down to Nashville. So I got back from my plane with an hour to go with that show, so I couldn't make that, but I originally had planned to. And then I usually do the Halloween bash in Allentown that escape me what his name is that runs it, but Herb, he runs that in Allentown, the one museum down there. So it's usually my shows I go to during the year, but
that's a very interesting show with the museum that it's in. It's they put the tables in with all the automotive displays and the truck displays and stuff like that. Because there's a big Mack presence there because the Mack factory is not that far away from Allentown, and so it's a very interesting venue. And then in the past, I don't know if they've been doing. I haven't been since before COVID, but the vendors were outside, so it was kind of a go inside, hang out, look at the models, and then go outside, hope it doesn't rain, and
they put it all back inside this year.
Put it all back inside, yeah. It was used for a while there. The vendors were outside. It was good weather every year that I went to it as far as being outside, but it was just sort of interesting that like the expensive stuff, so to speak, the vendor stuff. We'll put that outside.
Yeah, that one's that's more of a local show for me. That's only like 30 minutes away. I grew up in Allentown, so that's where pretty much that's local for me. So,
And do you have a local club that you participate with, or?
kind of local, kind of not. So I'm with Diversified Scalers. Most of those guys are in Jersey. We have one in Connecticut. We've got one in Delaware, and then me and Ricky were in Pennsylvania, and I believe there's someone else in the Carolinas as well too. So he used to
Wow.
live here and he moved down there. He works for RTR. So
So do you guys all like meet somewhere?
yep. We usually do a barbecue build off. We do one in the spring and we do one in the fall. So
Okay.
this one we just did was a mini truck themed, mini trucking. So we did that one, and then the one before that was a 30s theme. So and just
That's
us.
kind
And
of cool.
we'll invite some friends here or there, and just basically us. And that's like my other shows for the year is doing those little barbecue stuff. And they do dioramas and whole big thing, which they used to do stuff with NL East. And I know we're talking about helping out again with that show and
Yeah.
try to do a theme, sub theme in with NL East. So
Yeah, they helped out quite a bit last year, didn't they?
yep. I helped out last year, stuff like that too.
So it's a big push. Very first time we had a conversation about it, and I will push it again. I'll push it to George every time I get a chance to. You guys need to bring the parking lot diorama back with that
Yep.
sub theme, because it's going to be Toyota's the year of COVID, and then I think it was going to be Nissan the next year, and it was like that one got canceled too, and that was just always a neat thing. I don't think, James, did you ever see that they do? It's almost like a 4x6 table sized diorama. It's like a neighborhood, like a strip mall with a McDonald's. It's a McDonald's in the front, isn't it?
Okay.
McDonald's, Five Below. There's like a cinema.
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a whole deal. Yep.
And so they've always had a sub theme for it, and that was always one of those things that was interesting to see, because Diversified Scalers will, it's a little more on the import tuner camber side of things as far as the interest of the club goes. So it was always, in a room full of stodgy, here's every 1960 DeSoto in every factory color. It was a little pop of something different that was in the back there, and
Yeah.
it has not made its triumphant return, and it needs to.
Yep. George keeps talking about it, so I think we're gonna start planning, because everyone, is gonna build a piece of the diorama and things like that, and try to bring that back. We've been discussing at the club. We do the barbecues. We all discuss everything.
Yeah.
Get that out.
Because you guys actually had a show going there for a hot minute at the same venue in New Jersey in September.
Yep.
And he was always forever drag me out there, but it was always the same weekend as the show we have here in Pittsburgh. So it's like I can't really drive all the way to New York City practically and then turn around and come back, the next day. So, Lewis is in the comments. He says, "Bring it back." Yeah, people in the comment section demand action. George, I know George won't see this because he's at work right now, but still, come on. We need the parking lot.
That was my very first NL East, was going to the Nissan one and did that with them and met all of them, and then Danny, one of the club members, kept in contact with me and eventually weaseled my way in there. So
I for a long time wanted to get like the rotation of you guys on the podcast just in general, because the club as a whole skews a lot younger than a normal model club would, and I like to have dare I say fresh, but a younger crew of people on sometimes to show that there is something beyond. We've had some really great guys on, but let's face it, not everybody's spending the next 2 years building a Corvette, so it's fun to have other viewpoints.
I think most of us are in our 30s into our 40s. I don't think there's anyone younger than 30. I forget how old Dan is, but he's the youngest one of the group.
Okay. My club is a little older. They actually have the 65 and over judging in our clubs.
So I'm pretty sure in the IPMS club, we recently got in like 3 or 4 guys who do Gundam, and they're in their 20s. But other than them, I think I'm the next youngest person. So, my bangity rock and roll music and import cars. So speaking of I'm going to start talking and not have pictures ready here. As I sit here and start talking, the 3 of us were in Akron. And while we were there, the fine folks over at Round 2 also attending the building. Got too many windows open in the background here. And so we will cover real quickly the three, if you haven't seen them already, for the folks out there. I've posted them on a couple forums. I know James did a video of this stuff as well, but in case you haven't seen it, the three things that are technically new that they showed. James, I had like three different people go, "What about that wide body Charger? What about that?" I like the wide body Charger was shown in an NL East. I don't take pictures of everything, just the new stuff, you know.
Mm.
So one of the things, let me sure that's Sharon yet is the 65 Dodge Coronet reissue. This is the Polar Lights kit, and the Hemi that's in the engine compartment there was tooled up with this kit back in the day when Polar Lights did it, but for whatever reason they never actually issued it in the kit. And so this will be the first time that it's coming with the Hemi. I saw some commentary saying that it's too late. The Mobius kits are out, and I guess, but then you're arguing trim levels, right? Because there's no Coronet 500 within the Mobius kits. The Mobius kits are very much, even in the Coronet sedan, very much a day 2, day 3 project, since it has all the A990 door panels and things like that. It's very much a barely street legal drag car compared to being something that's a little more factory stock that somebody tuned up kind of thing, which is what this is. So that is one of the three. Make sure this should be.
Yeah, I had no idea that they had tooled up a Hemi for that kit. That's interesting.
76 Nova Pro Street. Last time this was out was 2005. So yeah, it's not the oldest thing in the world, but it does fall into a category of things that we were talking about in the past, where Round 2 itself has not made any money off of this. This is before they would have purchased the rights to AMT and NPC. So you know. Does the 76 Nova do a lot for a lot of people? I don't know necessarily, but it's certainly, again, it's something that basically an entire generation and a half of modelers have probably never seen before.
Right.
Yeah, it's very 80s too, with the Pro Street chassis and the centerline wheels. And
yes, Steve and I had a very interesting conversation where we were talking about the whole issue they've had recently with people's commentary on their videos of like, this is something I could find at a show. Yeah, great. Well, Round 2 doesn't make any money off that show sale. That doesn't do Round 2 a lick of good if you can find this at a show. Then you need to find it at Hobby Lobby or at Walmart or at your local hobby shop. So, and then the thing that's actually sort of, I guess, more new than not, and again, Mr. Chester did an entire separate 3-minute little overview on this, is this 672 Plymouth Duster. So looking at it here, let me try to blow it up a little bit. It's better than it was. I apologize for the quality of the picture here. I didn't bring a box of stuff with me, which meant I didn't have any of the models I packed with me. Poor Sean's shirt that I've been trying to give him for like 6 months now. And and a whole bunch of and my business cards that I put out, which is how Ryan got out in here in the first place. Although Sean did put his cards out to several people, so that was cool. But I also didn't have my good camera. Batteries. I had the camera, but no batteries for the camera. So it's my cell phone that was all out of whack here. Anyway, 72 Duster. This is sort of a repop of the original in the sense of the way the Demon was. It's a recreation of that original tooling. Everything you see on this that's gray is new. So like the hood scoops come off of the Demon, the engine compartment and the engine and the drivetrain and the chassis and all that stuff come off the Demon, but there's a new air cleaner, new interior, the 72 specific, carries the wing off of the Demon because that's white. So I'm not necessarily up for a whole lot of A-body Mopars. It's not exactly the most favoriteest thing in the world to me, but I'll pick that one up.
It's a very cool model. I got up close and personal with it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I mean, I love Mopar and Bustle, and that's another one that's, especially, it's hard to see. You can't tell there. If you look at the back, it's got the correct 72 taillights, which are wider, look different than the old or the AMT 71.
Right.
That's and I know that there will be other versions of this kit coming.
Yes.
So I think that's it.
We can't talk about that, Sean.
I know that there are plans to do more things with this, so that's exciting.
I will say, if you know the lineage of this kit in its original format, you can guess what other things there would be. That's as far as any of us could go, I think. But yeah, that's pretty. It's cool. I like it, especially since it'll have all the correct things. It'd be very easy for them to throw some crap at another kit and have it have the wrong interior and stuff like that. So having the correct interior, the correct rear end, and all that stuff. 2 thumbs up for me on that.
What I'm excited about is to kit bash that with the Demon, take the interior out of the 72, throw it in a Demon to make a 72 Demon with that resin printed one that Few Spruce Loose makes.
Yeah, I picked up one of those, the 72 grill at the show over the weekend. So I didn't realize, I hadn't been thinking about it, but I guess you're right. That interior is probably not correct in the 71 Demon for a 72. So
right. So kit bash the 2.
There you
You
go.
got a 71 and a 72 Demon.
Yeah, and I think Hart's Parts resin makes the correct 72 hood scoop for a Demon.
Okay.
I'm thinking of also
Sure.
print one.
Yeah, I'm sure the 3D print world's gonna go crazy for that.
Now, this was Mr. Tester's idea. He wanted to feature a little more of the upcoming aftermarket, and so I'm going to blatantly use this opportunity to be all like, you could not get me to spend money faster than showing me. There's probably no ways you could have made me. I mean, it won't be out till December, and they haven't taken pre-orders on this yet, so technically I haven't spent any money on it. But there's probably no faster way to get me to spend $160 and throw an AMG at me. So, this is of the things I knew that were coming. This isn't one of them. So this was a very nice, pleasant Christmas surprise.
Who makes that?
This will be an Alpha Models kit. So yeah, this will be the big multimedia $160 hootenanny here, but it fits. It's what would have come next in the line of Aoshima kits that they did, where they did the CL63 and the CL65 black. This is the car that came immediately following those, and so it's a lot of the people who knew the guys at Aoshima at the time. I'll consider myself to be one of those people, prior to a couple of people leaving there and the company being what it is right now, as far as not releasing a lot of sort of international projects. It's a lot of JDM stuff, but they at the time, that crew was the people that made like the Paganis and all of the Lamborghinis that they did, and all of those kits, and they were doing these Mercedes. We were like, come on, man, you got to keep it going, because this is the 2011 to 20. Well, this one specifically is the 2011 to 2013, but the C63 chassis was 2012, 2017. At any rate, this was the next car that was coming along, and unfortunately, management changed there, and this never arrived. And now, yay! So,
yeah, those are cool. I like it.
So Mr. Tester will soon be able to show the world a wide slate of PZY-based Toyota Yaris projects. That would be the sort of the other side of the multimedia expensive realm. Is there's a it's a Yaris. Say that 3 times fast, and then there's 2 Eva. Trying to think of that's a manga, isn't it? It's more of a manga comic than a Vocaloid thing like Miku is. But there's 2 Eva Evangeline liveries coming for that as well that are purple drift car inspired. They're not actually drift cars; they don't have racing interiors, but they're drift car inspired. So,
right. One's purple and green, the other one's orange and red.
And we'll all beg your indulgence because James has himself some allergies over there. So,
sorry about this, guys.
So if he just appears for half a second there, he's not ignoring you, just trying not to cough into the live stream. So, yeah, those are there. And then, do we want to do, before we go too far off the beaten path here, do we want to do the stuff that was at Shizuoka?
Yes, please.
Go for it.
So, I throw this up here because this was one of the consternations I had. We had just talked about a couple episodes ago that Tamiya was going to, in addition to doing that Porsche 911, they're going to reissue their Ballade, however you pronounce that, CRX. And one of the things about the Honda CRXs of the 1980s, of course, is they had crazy wild interior patterns. And I didn't purchase the kit because, well, I don't want to paint that somehow because that's just going to look like a complete total crap show if it was to occur. They decided to, yeah, there it is. Exactly. That one right there, only with the new box art. And with the new box art comes some actual decals. And on the decal sheet, huzzah, they've included the plaid for the interior seats. So now I think I have to buy one.
Yep.
I remember that.
They've also done, very interestingly enough, because everybody hated it when Nunu and Platts was doing this. They've also included all the window black as decals here. I've noticed.
Nice.
For some reason, when Platts did that with all the race car stuff, everybody threw their hands in the air and waved them around like they just didn't care. I personally, with the ones that I've built, have never had an issue with those. You have to have a great deal of patience to make sure they line up with obviously the inside of the window edges and they overlap correctly and all that stuff. Oh God, I had to spend more than 10 seconds decaling. The world is coming to an end. But I don't have that big of a problem with them. But this decal sheet would sell me that kit if I was to buy it because of the interior seating thing here being there.
As long as there isn't any transfer film around the decal, I think you're all right. But if it's just the black, that's cool.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what that is with that, because with the Platts ones, they were just the black. There was no edge to them at all.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm definitely have to get one of these. My dad had an 85 CRX SI in high school when I was in high school, and it had that interior. I remember it.
So
that was a cool car.
Ryan, you already have the kit, or is that the previous issue?
That is one of the original ones. So
okay.
Which the decal set in that is not very, it's very, very basic.
I think it's just like the CRX Pro things in the logo, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I'll have to buy one of those just to steal the decals out of it.
Everything else the same in the kit, I assume?
Yeah. It should just be a straight reissue as far as that goes. I don't think they've added any PE or anything to it.
Okay.
It's probably like half the Revell stuff where they're re-releasing them and it's all nice new decals and same thing kind of.
I would say that 95% of the round 2 Revell stuff I purchased in the last year that wasn't like brand new, like the Corvette, has been, I have this kit 30 years ago and it's got a license plate and an air cleaner decal. We'll sell that one off and we'll buy the one with the new decal sheet.
Yeah.
I just did that with the 66 or 65 Riviera that AMT just threw back out. I literally just sold the old one this weekend on auction, and I bought the new one last weekend at the show up there in Akron. So
I did the same thing with the GNX kit and then the Monte Carlo kits. So
this item right here, which will be something that I know I've already sent this to George. George wants all of this and every bit of it. And I do too, except the fact that this sort of takes a very expensive resin kit and turns it into a big nothing burger. This is the next Liberty Walk kit coming out of Aoshima, and this is a Lamborghini Aventador silhouette, which is basically a body kitted version of the last Aventador that they produced. And anybody who knows James and myself, because James got the convertible version of this was a PZY kit box resin piece, and now there's going to be a $45 plastic one, and it's much like the Tamiya Porsche 911, where like I know the decal sheet that I'm getting in the resin 911 is like 9 times more comprehensive than this one will be, because this will be in that same series of very highly polished plastics. So it's not a top tight kit, but it's a beginner's kit kind of thing. And so I will probably skip this and just build the resin one. I've sold off the one other Aventador they did that I got, and I realized it's the same one as the hobby design kit that they did. And I was like, no, I spent the money on the hobby design kit. For anybody else who's into that Liberty Walk series of kits who didn't already spend $160 on a limited edition resin kit, this will be something that you can purchase and not feel bad about. Right. The Toyota Starlet was on display over at the Hasegawa booth. I already got messages from Marcos about how popular this kit will be again. So he's very, very excited to get his hands on this. He tried to send me a video of a rotary powered one, but unfortunately the link didn't work. But that just sounds excessive, given what little tiny car and lightweight this would have had in real life to shove something powerful into it. So somewhere in here I have the layout. I'm trying to see if it's somewhere nearby, but it's probably not. But one very nice thing about this, things are. We'll talk about it more when it gets there. But the wheels are 2 pieces, which will make it nice and easy to paint. Whoops, I hit next on the screen, our chat screen, like that was going to do anything. So here's the 1993 late model version of the 300Z from Hasegawa. Again, this of course would have a turbo bumper, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask, is that the naturally aspirated or the turbo bumper?
Everybody on here will give me a hard time because I kept saying the naturally aspirated one had a naturally aspirated bumper because it's different than the turbo bumper was for the way the intercooler works. But at any rate, that's coming back out for anybody who wants those. This is another kit that has never existed before in any format. All of the previous 300Zs of this generation were A, not 2+2s, and B, never late model. So this is the front end that's never been kitted before. This is that Isuzu Bellet we had talked about. That's like the last version, the last of the late model versions. It has this really weird front grille headlight combination that James can't stand. For me and my completionist sense of like when Hasegawa does these kits and they release 5 of them, I have to have all 5. Yes, please, but I don't really want to pay for the Yokoshiro Mega Dock attachment to point to this, which will probably make the kit cost like $10 more than it should. But for anybody who's a fan of these cars, there will be a late model version of it coming at some point. This is the Nissan Gazelle. So this is the, I think the Gazelle was the more sport trim version of these two, because there's the Gazelle and then there's the Sylvia. And the Sylvia has already come out. The rally prepped one that's a street car that already came out. And so this has a new grille, new wheels, a couple, I think there's some interior pieces here. And then you get this awesome wannabe Firebird decal in the background here. So for the collectors of screaming chickens, I'm not sure.
That's got to be like the love child of a Studebaker and a Granada.
There's no love.
Version of Smoking the Bandit.
There is no love in the Tester household for this poor car. But yeah, I've pre-ordered one because it's not a Sylvia, it's a Gazelle. And the only other version of this car that exists is a really, really crappy Fujimi kit. Speaking of the rally version, so this is the 240 RS in an 82 Monte Carlo rally. Do I need another one of these rally cars? No. Am I happy to see that at least they did it in a livery that hasn't already been done by somebody else? Yes. They caught that hint. They did the Mitsubishi Lancer, the 1980s version of that, in the same livery that Nunu did it, and then they couldn't sell any because their kit came out 8 months later, and they couldn't figure out why. So, yeah, at least this is a different livery. It's still a Nissan corporate logo, but it's something just a little different. Back into the Starlet. Yeah. Okay. So here's the Starlet's boards. So as you can see down here, your chrome
wheel
nuts are chrome, and your wheels are up here with the seats and the bumpers and everything else up here. So I am, and this is like a Tamiya, if Aoshima's wheel sets are like this too, but anytime you can give me a center that I don't have to mask to keep the wheel lip chrome, it gets my vote. So I was very happy to see that pop up. Otherwise, this looks like it's pretty much, your standard fare for a Hasegawa kit. Very nice, lots of parts, probably more parts on this than there were on the original car. It does appear at least initially, this is a stick shift car. We got 3, we had a go, a slow, and a whoa pedal there. So there is one thing I noticed. There's two, well, no, I guess there's not. The seats are on their weird runner, and then some reason the seat bottoms are over here. So late version has a different set of seat tops. You look at how these things are split up and try to figure out where this kit will go in its future iterations, and that's the one thing I noticed. The seat bottoms were over here on this with all of the rest of the suspension and the interior, and then the seat tops are up here, so that could be swapped out. So,
Mr.
Does
Duff,
it?
do you know if they have any other versions of this kit planned?
I'm sure there's probably 4 or 5 of them. I mean, I know that's like a sarcastic answer, but like that's been Hasegawa's thing. I think this is the late as far as where we're starting at. So there will probably be an early, and there's probably like a mid. The interior, from what I've seen of the CAD, and it's hard to tell in this picture because it's from 9 miles away, but this was like stamped steel without like a floor to it, which makes me think race car. We discussed the race car ones, a month or two ago. So yeah, I don't know where else we'll go with this, because like the bumpers and the trim pieces for the bumpers, they're on a separate sprue. I know the earlier versions of this has round headlights rather than the square ones that the car comes with, so that would be pretty easy to flip out since the front fascia is a separate piece. So we will see. I would expect beginning of the next year we'll see a second version of that will come out pretty quick afterwards.
It's cool that it's got a sunroof.
Yeah, it does have a giant sunroof in it. So if they want to do a race car, I think you're going to have to do a separate body for it. Or maybe Japanese just didn't care about body rigidity in a race car. Unfortunately for Mr. Marcos, he's going to have to like cut this giant. Whoops. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Cut this giant dunnage out of his, his hood area there. Hoods are separate on these Hasegawa kits because, again, if the headlights are round, the headlights are whatever, then you can obviously just put a new hood into the company. So one of the big announcements, both in size and dimensions, was now BMAX is going to do a 1/12 scale Mazda 787B. Okay, answering a question I don't know that anybody asked, but sure. They've got the 1/12 bikes coming out. They did the 1/12 F1 cars, so I guess why not a 1/12 Group C car?
It'll probably take 6 years to come out anyways.
Yeah, I mean, you probably won't see it till 2038, but it's just a weird, to me, choice. I mean, it could be great if they, like their 1/12 scale F1 car they've done, the Lotus, very super detailed. The aftermarket set that was sold factory was like top studio parts,
Okay.
so like it was super duper nice. So it could be really nice. I would just like to have one more 1/24 scale one because I have one original kit, and then of course Tamiya's fiasco of reissuing it, where they didn't make enough to even export them out of the country. And if you ordered them from like Hobbylink Japan, they canceled those pre-orders because those were going to go out of the country. So yeah, I would like just a regular scale one, but
that's a neat car. I wish I would have got one.
I won't be bitter. So another angle there. These are the prototypes of the new lady driving series cars. These are Toyota 86s. They're like the 2016 versions. And I only downloaded this only because I know Mr. Chester has to buy anything that has dancing Japanese girls on the side of it. So he's gonna have a mint collection of 86s by the end of 2025 with all the MF Ghost cars and now these.
Oh, I'm sure. I wonder how many of those kits are going to make, like in the Itasha genre.
I don't know if this is a new license for this series. Like my understanding is like this is like a graphic novel, just like the MF Ghost is.
Okay, all right.
Because there's really 2 cars here. Like there's 2 different girls involved. There's this one here and this one back here has got a different. She's got a different hairstyle on, so she's a different person.
Is that the other side of the same car?
Maybe, but I think they're 2 different characters. So then it goes into like which one's cars or which, and I don't know.
So now I got to
Crazy
buy 2 kits.
Crazy Japanese-ness. This is the brand new Nissan 180SX that Aoshima is doing. We actually got like parts and whatnot to it here. There's 2 versions of this kit coming. This one, which is sort of the kit, and then there's one with an optional set of wheels, which will be the same except for the wheel set. Looking at this, it's pretty easy to tell that there will be other versions of this coming. Like this whole interior is its own sprue, so they can do that. The wheels obviously will get replaced out, and the exhaust extension's its own thing. do get colored taillights and turn signals, so that's nice. I am once again disappointed by the lack of left-hand drive, and the interior here. They were sold in the in the United States as what,
Who made the
240.
other version? That Fujima?
Fujimi made one, and there's a really, really old Tamiya kit.
Okay.
Tamiya made one of these, and they actually packaged it and sold it as a 240SX to the U.S. market. I actually have one. But this one, I guess, being it's a 180SX Type X, that's a trim level that was not technically sold here, so it is only a Japanese car. But I don't know. This is two kits in a row that could have had left-hand drive that don't, and it's kind of bugging me. But like I said before, they're not into international sales the way they used to be. So that should be out. I believe that's a November or December release. I have better pictures of this, but this is the new 124 scale 2022 Nismo. I think
that's cool.
I say I have the white one on order because white would be the easiest thing to paint over. It does appear that at least on the better shots we'll get around to in a second, that this is a metallic black rather than being carbon. On the real car, the roof, the hood, and everything that's black on here is carbon in the real car. So I didn't expect them to include decals for that, but it's at the same time it's like I guess this is kind of fun. I have better pictures of this too. They've gone, and I guess we're gonna throw the same set of wagon wheels in both, and this transition of rear suspension goes into both. But they are finally making stock pickup trucks out of the Nissan 720 or the Datsun 720 and the Toyota. What would this been? This would have been the RN30. Yeah, the Hilux, but yeah, the RN30 version of the Toyota pickup. Because I don't think we got it here as a Hilux. It was just the Toyota pickup back then. These are both JDM pickups in the sense they don't have left-hand drive components to them. These both have only been available in the past either as lowriders or jacked up on monster four-wheel drive chassis. They've never ever been stock. Both of these kits trace their body heritage back into motorized toys from the 1980s, and then in like 2001 or so, Aoshima tooled up model kits to put underneath them. So the interiors and the chassis and all the bits and pieces to them are about 20 years old, but the bodies go back into the 1981, 1982 era. So it's kind of interesting, a little bit of history there. And so yeah, apparently you throw a new rear end with some blocks in here, and ta-da, it's factory stock. So yeah, this is 78 and an 82. Yeah, so
Ryan, you're in mini trucks, aren't you?
What's up?
You're in the mini trucks, aren't you, Ryan?
That I am.
Does that tickle your fancy?
A little bit. I'm more American trucks on that side, though.
Okay.
The other thing that's factory stock for the first time in its history, the mid-90s Toyota single cab. It says US on here with a bunch of stuff, and that got everybody all excited because that meant there was going to be left-hand drive in American. But for some reason, and I don't know why, somebody Japanese could explain it to me, there's a very, we sit around, we go, oh man, wouldn't it be cool to have a GTR? And they sat around and go, wouldn't it be cool if we could throw US body, SR5 body parts onto our Hilux? And so it's legitimately a thing. If the SR5 mirrors, fenders, and bumpers were like a thing in Japan, re-import or re-exporting, however you look at that, the US domestic parts and putting them onto a Japanese truck was a thing. This, again, is something that's only ever been a lowrider or a big jacked up pickup truck. It shares the dashboard out of the Hilux Surf, which, if you know your Hilux Surf, comes with a left-hand drive dashboard and left-hand drive windshield wipers, which you could clearly steal for this, but you'd have to buy a whole model kit for that. There's never been a left-hand drive version of this pickup truck, and this truck and its chassis and its components and everything like that were created 15 years after the Hilux Surf was, so they're not the same thing. They don't share parts, so they can't just swap it over. Pictures of Porsches, yay! So this one only here because it was red, and we've seen the white one before. So the red 911 GT3 RS. This should be out next month in the United States.
Oh, really? That soon? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a December release in Japan. America, Europe's supposed to get it right after Thanksgiving. So
Okay.
I missed out on my pre-order at Hobby Japan. I have to buy this in the United States and get it early. I cannot stand the carbon pattern of these decals. That is so awful. I would have rather them just not. But we'll use the carbon as a template and we'll just go from there.
Right. Yeah, it's a slick car. We have to do 2 of them.
Download this for a friend, but hey, anybody who builds airplanes, to me, is doing the carrier version of the F-35. So this is the parts breakdown on the on these R35 Nismo Snap-Tight kits. The brakes here are cast and yes, yellow, because there's aluminum mylar to go on for the brake rotors or for the brake calipers, and that'll leave your for the brake rotors. That'll leave your calipers yellow, and you don't have to paint them. So ta-da, problem solved. It's a decent parts breakdown.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
it's not
color. The chase color is that bluish gray one, right?
This one, yeah. So, yeah, this is again a JDM car. They only give you the right-hand drive dashboard. So, and as you see here, this is like a sparkly paint for the hood and the roof. So it's got the same carbon fiber effect that spraying metallic black throw pantyhose has, and we all know what a popular way of replicating carbon fiber that is. Speaking of 112 bikes, here's the Suzuki 93 World Championship bike that'll be coming shortly. Box art's done for it now. Shortly being sometime between now and Christmas of 2030, but yeah, this will be coming soon for the bike guys. Something was sort of snuck in, like the gigantic Mazda is just off the top of the screen here, and everybody took pictures of it, but they didn't take pictures of the little Hawaiian Tropic 935 down here. This has been promised almost as long as the Pink Pig 911 RSR was. This literally was debuted 5 years ago, I think it was at this point, back when the other 935s came out that they did. This is a Le Mans winner, and if it's done correctly, meaning it actually has the 935s were rebodied 934s. So the kit that Tamiya did and Revell did of the 911 that looks like a 911, this was like the next thing that came along was rebodied it with this big over fender and slant nose. That's where the Porsche 911 slant nose came from. Anyway, if it's that actual thing, then I finally have the correct body to do 2 different Macau race car decals I've had for like 5 years now.
Which one is the Apple computer one? That's
a 935 K3. So that's be 2 generations after that car.
Okay.
This is the parts layout and everything for the upcoming BMW M4 GT3. It's actually got a built car down here. Huzzah. This right now, it could change. Has a October 30th release date attached to it. I'll believe that when 9 days from now pass. This looks very much like the Porsche 911 and the RSR in the sense that it's pretty basic. We're on, 1, 2, 3, 4 runners with the your glass being a separate thing. A couple little, this will be chrome, and there's your wheels. So like very simple. There's obviously not a lot going on the bottom of the car anyway. It's just an aero panel, so there's not any reason to have a big complicated suspension, although there is a transaxle here for some reason. I swear that this is a BMW thing, because every BMW modern kit they've done has had a transaxle in it, even though you can't see it because it clearly would go right here. I don't understand what that's about, but more power to them. Next version of the MF Ghost, Mr. Tester. So this is him getting, it's a meaner looking car. Look at it. It's got a big giant spoiler on it and a ducktail spoiler and new wheels. And
I'm on it.
So this is, I believe, Volume 9's car. Please make the Porsche Cayman in the background. And I'll say more close-up picture of it. I wonder if they're going to make the Subaru Impreza, because they don't have one of those, at least not in this generation of it. And yeah, this is the Lamborghini Silhouette. Yeah, here's closer pictures of that. You can see, look, it's not only is this sparkly, it's supposed to be, it's pearl white, but yeah, the hood and all of these black body parts that are supposed to be carbon fiber, they're all sparkly. Sparkles for everybody. Yeah, that's how that's supposed to look, but we'll make it work. I just want a 2022 Nissan GTR. I will go out loving this car as it departs the world. But yeah, that's fun. So better pictures of the Toyota, the Nissan, the Toyota 112 787. Yep, that's it. So there you go. Upcoming releases for your enjoyment.
Nice.
James, did you see the pictures of? I think LB is making some art car Porsches.
Art car. Oh, yes. Oh, I switched windows and somebody was text messaging me, and for some reason that popped right in my ears really loud. You guys couldn't hear it, but like I just got blang really loud in my headset there. So, is this something you're gonna buy? Before I actually download this, are you gonna buy this? You'd have to buy a model kit too. I don't think you have an RSR.
I don't. Which kit is that?
This will be the Pink Pig kit.
Oh, okay. Like, all right, I'll buy one then. It was a neat decal sheet.
Yeah, I got it here in a second. I have to download it and then put it in a window, and then huzzah!
Look at that.
It's a pretty cool looking decal sheet.
Yeah, who doesn't want to try to stick this woman's face over a very large amount of compound current? That couldn't possibly go wrong. So yeah,
the sponsor doesn't get angry with me for buying competitor.
Well, then tell him to make his own. LB Productions. This is up for pre-order right now. It's not in yet. I think he's still drawing it. Doesn't have like the whole layout, the numbers and everything attached to it yet. But yeah, it's quite the decal sheet. In fact, it's got neon eyeballs on the ass end of the car. That wouldn't be at all disturbing to come upon in the middle of the night on the lawns.
Not at all.
But yeah, that'll be. If this is a paint the car black and the decals do everything else, that'll be quite the decal. But we know James likes
cool,
the decal. Yeah, it's totally cool. I mean, it's the art car. So every year at Le Mans, they also do this at 24 Hours of Nürburgring. But there's always an art car, like somebody designs something crazy and it gets put on somebody's car, and so that is what this is. I think this actually won its class in 2019 as well. So yeah, class winner. So this not only looks good, but it went fast too. So there's a twofer there.
I think there's a Smurf one too.
Yeah, there's a Smurf one, but it's not the right car. I saw somebody put that up there, and it's always one of those things like, okay, it's cool, but what do you put it on? There isn't a kit for the
right. If there's no kit, then it's no sense in making it.
Mm-hmm.
So Ryan.
Yes.
I know the answer to this, but we were discussing it, and so it's fun. When you're working on your projects and stuff like that, what's your favorite paint to use?
Oh, it's Rust-Oleum. No.
Oh.
Tamiya. I'm full Tamiya. Almost everything's rattle can and or bottle. So just this year I got rid of. I used to do everything in tester's bottle, like all my detail work, and finally this year I made the jump, and I'm not looking back ever again. So
interesting.
But all my cars are pretty much primarily all Tamiya rattle can for the most part, other than the clear. Every once in a while I use an Axalta, like Automotive 2K clear, but
okay.
That's certain cars get that. Other ones, it depends on how fast I'm trying to get done, or if I have the time to, whether I'll do the rattle can clear from Tamiya or if I'll do the 2K. But
well, since you work in a shop, you can just use some leftover, right?
Yeah, some of it. Yep. Which I actually have over in this corner here is a custom brown for a 34 pickup I have that I'm doing. So
we were talking a little bit before the show. So you tell us about your actual day job.
So my day job, I work for a restoration hot rod custom shop. So do that all day long, fabricating panels and patch panels and filler work and bringing cars back to life. Currently doing a 59 Invicta and a 54 Studebaker that we're going to be doing suicide doors on soon. So
wow, very cool. So do you also paint full-size cars? Or?
Yeah, I used to paint as a living when I worked in the body shops. I worked at auto body for a lot of years. Just this past year, I went to the restoration shop, but Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much do all of it. I've built motors, transmissions, full cars, paint, body, you name it.
So the reason we asked you to be on the show is we had all had seen your work at the NNL East and that Chrysler that's kind of spinning around on the podium back there really caught our eye, and we're like, oh, that guy's cool. We got to get him on the show. So tell us a little bit about your Chrysler.
So there was a shop out of Maine that actually built one of these in real life, but their interior was a little brighter red. The wheels weren't as to my liking and stuff like that. So I was like, got the idea and saw Mobius had the kit, and then AMT round 2 came out with that new Charger kit. So I started getting the boxes out and seeing what worked on the two of them, and figured out how to stretch the chassis and the interior and things like that, and kind of got away from me on here, but it came out beautiful. So
that has the chassis and the interior from the new Charger kit?
Yep, that is a full, you can see it there. That is a completely stretched. So it's been cut here and then cut here, and it's two chassis together to make that. And then the interior was modified, and I made it into a 2-door interior, and a lot of little trick things in that chassis that most people probably won't pick up on either. So, and the two black, like those heat shields back there, they used to sit really low below the car. So I actually, underneath that, I had took a Dremel and made everything real low, and then flattened, like sanded the underside of those so they were very thin and sat in there and more recessed, so they wouldn't hang below the car real low.
Cool.
Yep.
And did you have to modify the suspension to get it to sit that low, or is that?
A little bit. The front spindles on those Chargers, you have to flip them upside down. If you put them the way they're supposed to be, the front ends sit real high. But basically flip those a little bit, and I trimmed them just a little bit and moved the wheels and brakes up, but not a whole lot. Actually, this way it sits and the way the body sits over it, it's like exactly perfect.
That's a dedication that I never really got to, was like, stretching things and, a lot of scratch building. That kind of stuff amazes me.
Yeah. That's always been my thing. I love making, if it's extended cab kit, I'll make a standard cab. If it's, say a truck, I want to make it an SUV. I always try to do the opposite of what it is a lot of times. So.
And what all did you have to do to the interior to get it to fit?
So the interior, I had to trim the front edge of the dash. That had to be shortened a whole bunch, and then make a nice different radius at the front to match up to the windshield. The seats, I actually had to trim those down, the rear seats. And then the back deck panel there is actually the original 55. And then the door part I ended up doing was I had to shave those, like where the original post would be to the door, and then add a new line, and then get rid of the rear door handles and the rear panels to make it a 2-door per se. But other than that, actually, that interior fits very nicely in that car.
Interesting.
And you also have to move it back. So if you'll see, there's a big gap between the firewall and the dash. You pretty much have to stretch the chassis and then move the interior all the way back in that stretch. And then this kit, the trunk doesn't open, so that whole trunk area is all completely scratch built, 3D printed subwoofer box that I put a couple files together and made my own little design. And then the amplifiers are also 3D printed too, and did like a false floor effect. So they actually sit down the spare tire well there. Then I did like a plexiglass top over top of it.
Wow, that's awesome. And is that engine out of the Charger kit, or is that?
No, that's actually one of Texas 3D Customs Hellcat engines. The only thing I did to it is I 3D printed the actual little engine covers to say supercharged Hemi there. I 3D printed those off of a file I got on Colts.
Wow.
Yep. And I scratch built the airbox and all the oil coolers in there, trans coolers. I did a condenser, heat exchanger. I went all out on it.
That's hard with the modern Hemis to throw some wires in there, because it usually there's not many wires showing.
No, really, all that shows is the injector harness, a harness going down the front of the block, and it's all coolant and vacuum hoses, which I tried to replicate the best I could.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I see you have that textured cable with insulation around that kind of ran around the backside of the engine. What did you use for that?
So that was KA Models. I used a bunch of their stuff. And that was their braided loom that they have, and ran that along there as a simulate like a wiring harness for that. So
Right. Okay, so that's a braided, just painted black.
And it comes black already, actually, like that. They have a silver version. Yeah, I use a bunch of KA stuff in Studio 27.
I like this proof of concept picture. It was just like, is it gonna fit? Will it fit? Yeah, look, it's gonna fit. So
Yep. And those are JPS wheels. Those are like the perfect choice for that car. I think it made it a lot nicer.
What was your build time on that?
I built that in 4 weeks.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I built that the month before NL East. I had the concept, like I got the idea months prior, and like that blast shot you had, I had that kind of designed out, and I cut the chassis just to see if it would fit. Once I knew the chassis could be stretched and kind of do that, it sat in the box for months. And then I said, I'm going to do the 55 300 for NL East for the 50s, for the 55 theme, and got to work.
Wow. That's a lot of work in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
see, it can be done, James.
You just have to dedicate, every hour after work for 4 weeks and weekends to get it done, So
Yeah, nicely done.
It takes me 4 weeks to build a box stock model.
Yeah, and then I also had to hinge. The trunk doesn't open on those, so I had to hinge those, and I had to hinge the hood as well, which was a challenge. This is my first working hinged car, so
yeah, it had a really killer stand sitting on the table, and it's sort of, white doesn't really catch your attention a lot, but there's something about that car, the combination of the colors, and it really popped.
It's not straight white. That's actually the Tamiya Pearl White.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a little. It's not quite 100% white.
Yeah,
their Pearl White's really fine.
Yeah. Actually, I'm trying to think if I did the Pearl White or if I did their pure white and did I'm trying to think which way I did it. It's been a little while. I can't remember if I did
pearl
pure white
coat on top of the white.
I think I did regular white and did the pearl clear and did dust coats to kind of get like a finer, not as yellowed look to it. So I think their pearl white is more of a yellowed look, if I remember correctly.
Very nice.
But that's all Tamiya colors other than the wheels and the clear on it. Everything else is all Tamiya.
Wow.
Ryan, how long have you been building models?
So I started when I was a kid, when I was like 10. And then I stopped when I got a real car. So around 18, I stopped building. And I got divorced when I was 28. So the last 10 years, I started picking up building again and got into it pretty heavily in the last few years.
What inspired you to get back into model building?
I needed a hobby. I needed something to calm me down and not be so hot-headed. So I started building them, and I found it calmed me down. I was talking to my mom, and she's like, "You used to be my calm kid, and now you're this crazy guy." So she's like, "What changed?" I was like, "Well, I used to build models," and she said, "Why don't you try that again?" And it worked. A lot calmer than I used to be. So, and then I joined. It was a Instagram page called the Model Car Build Off, and that kind of got me going. And I started seeing what everyone else was building. I was like, "Holy crap! Like these are really detailed," and it pushed me pretty hard to get that, to be on that level, I want to win that contest. And I ended up building a GMC Sonoma from the standard cab kit the AMT had. I bought 2 of those and their Blazer kit, and I made a GMC Sonoma High Rider extended cab, 4-wheel drive. So that was pretty pretty neat for a first one. I won in people's choice on that one.
Wow.
I believe it's people's choice. Yeah.
And what kind of kits do you find yourself wanting to build the most?
I like everything, but lately I've been kind of more going towards the import stuff lately. But I'll build pretty much anything. As you can see on the table, I mean, I've got Ranger, 55, 69 Camaro, STI. I'm all over the place. I like a ton of cars, so whatever catches my eye.
You mostly build hot rods and customs, or do you build stock too, or race cars?
I more or less build custom, or like if I build an older car, I tend to lean towards pro touring. That's like a lot of the Camaros and stuff like that I built. They're all pro touring, but I can't do box stock. It's struggle 100% with. I just can't do it. Old school hot rod, don't really do those. Not to say I can't. Like I did 30s Ford, they were chopped and blower and the period correct, but it's not usually my forte.
Buster's Customs asked a question. Ryan, did you ever find that Ranger you were looking for?
I think he's asking about my original Ranger I had when I was a kid. So I had twin Rangers, like real Rangers, and it ended up down in Mexico. I have kind of found it. I know it's in Mexico, but I don't know who owns it yet to buy it back. So,
yeah.
I have its twin. I still own the other 96 Ranger. They're consecutive VINs, 71164, 71163.
Oh, so, cool.
Yep, I still have the one, which is in my garage, getting a overhaul with a 5-liter V8 T5 out of a Mustang and all kinds of goodies.
Neat. What aspects of model building do you enjoy the most?
I enjoy getting the idea out of my head and seeing if what I have in my head works. Like doing this, like, is that chassis going to fit? Is that interior going to fit? Stuff like that. Or like when I did this 55 here, the 56, will this Foose front end and this 55, will they get together? Once I start cutting them apart and joining them, I get excited, like, yes, it's working. My ideas, coming to life. That's
so that one you just showed, that one's got, you say that one's got the Foose 55 front. One's that the monogram back half?
This is the Revell Harley Davidson, that old monogram Harley Davidson 55.
Okay.
So from the door line back is that, from that forward is the Foose kit. And then I chopped the roof line, brought that down so it would meet, because you're dealing with, this is 1/24th, this is 1/25th.
Right. I was just going to ask you about that. There are different size scales.
Yep. And then I had to channel the bottom of the.
Not me.
I had to channel the bottom of that. And,
focus on him.
I'm trying.
Then I channel the bottom of that, and actually these fenders have been cut out and on both of them, and those are the 56 as well, to give them a little more of a bulge. And then the chassis is same thing, all Foose underneath, and that's been stretched back here, stretched in the middle, so everything all works with that.
Very cool.
Nice ITB Coyote in there.
Oh yeah,
neat.
It's really a shame you can't see through the back windows. There's a full wood floor in there, stereo system that works in that one. It's hard to see in that one.
So, you want to do a tour? Why you had James had you up there?
Oh yeah, I can put it back real quick.
You want to do a tour of your cars in the back there, just like?
Yep. So I was telling you, my club did a mini truck one. This is a Ranger that I did. It's fully shaved, caddy tail lights.
Nice.
And to put an Explorer front end on it. 2.3 turbo, shaved firewall, 3D printed seats, and raised bed floor. And this is painted. This is the one paint line I do love as well, is Tropical Glitz. Their stuff sprays so nice, so easy. And then the graphics for that is there's some STS, just regular graphics they had, and put those on that one. Sorry, what else were we talking about?
Oh, if you want to do a tour
around the back there.
Oh, the ones in the back here. Another one I really like. This is my Smokey the Bandit one. Which, give me a second here. Because this has a trick little thing. So I ended up on the underside of this has a magnet, and then the antenna itself, I put a magnet at the bottom, so it does not stick anywhere else except for that one spot.
Oh, that's cool.
And this one's all Pro Touring. This has got Tamiya 911 GT2 wheels on it.
Oh,
I
cool.
made the body kit a little bit lower and the rear spoiler a little taller. That's really got the Pro Touring look to it. Another favorite one I have is this is my 69 Camaro. This is after Mark Stilo's Red Devil. And if you can see the light shining through, all the grills have been opened up in the front there.
Ooh.
It's got a LS9. And it has a newer 4th gen Camaro interior, which is all houndstooth inside there.
Oh, wow.
That's slick.
Here. This is even slicker yet.
Oh, wow.
So I hid the switch. It is between the license plate and the gas tank. It's even got a license plate light on there.
Wow. That's really cool.
So this is one of my favorite ones. This is hands down one of my favorite. Carbon fiber spoiler, and I did a hand cut nose cone, like hockey stripe on the front there. Those are Scale Motorsports decals for that underneath. And last other one too is this is a kit that everyone always asks me about is the Revell WRX kit. It is not that nice. So everything on this, their little spats that are in between the spoiler, those are handmade. The rear roof spoiler, I scratch built that. The wheel flares, those are scratch built. The rear spats here, those are scratch built. And then in the front, so it's got, I don't know if it's going to focus on here for you. It has Honda S2000 projectors I cut out of a Tamiya kit, 3D printed hella horns. It's engine bay, rotated turbo. It is a pretty much crazy car. We got a little cob access port that hangs in the window that no one ever really sees.
Oh, wow.
A lot of trick stuff. The taillights in these, it's made after a die cast. So it's the regular like push, headlights and taillights. I cut the pins off, and inside the lights, I put little jewelry, like gems, to give you that reflector look. So the lights are totally different, and underneath is all done. It's a really, really slick piece. Lewis Hicks keeps bothering me to buy that one. Favorite ones. So, but trying to think what else we got here. Up top here, we've got a 69 Boss 302. I'm trying to finish up on that one. My Speedster T-Bird.
Ooh.
No one ever gets these T-Birds done. This one has a lot of work into it too. So these are scratch-built side skirts. GT500 spoiler that's been laid back and molded in. Celine Speedster cover. GT500 Recaros. And then the front bumper, this is all custom scratch built. So grills, every bar is a piece of styrene that I made. And then those are 69 Camaro fog lights. And the headlights are actually Tamiya Beetle, new Beetle headlights.
Oh, neat.
Because I didn't like how originally the real T-Birds, they go like straight up and they hang out. I wanted more of a flush look kind of deal. And then I chopped the roof as well and then used a Tamiya tint to tint that light. This one
Foose made that car, right?
Foose made one just like this, yes. But mine's just a little bit different. There's another one that has lights.
Oh, neat.
Nice.
And the slickest one on this. So this has the new Ford GT taillights.
Oh,
so
wow.
I painted the centers black, and around the edge that when it lights up, only that halo shows up.
That's slick.
Yeah, this was another cool one. It's an unusual one because no one ever really sees, T-Birds done. So.
Yeah, it's got some really nice design accents on it. I like the GT lights. That's very cool.
And then this one, this is why I love Tamiya for their paint. So this is why I call it like a 4-stage. I originally painted this light gunmetal, then used their red candy, did 2 coats of that, and while it was still tacky, used their transparent blue and layered it until I got this purplish hue. This is meant to replicate GM's. They had what was it called? Black Rose.
Okay.
And I put a coat of their pearl clear over top of it, just to give it a little more metallic. And I don't think there's any other paint you could do that with. That's a rattle can that you could get that effect like that.
And then do you polish it out afterwards, or is that?
That's not polished at all.
Okay.
So, and this got a bunch of 3D. I know you like your 3D printing, so that is a printed and sized Whipple that I put onto the LT5 quad cam motor.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll move.
And Borla, they're not Borla, Magnaflow 3D printed mufflers. Front bumpers all custom on that one as well. That Callaway, they had the Callaway kit that they have. It's the front lip cut off of that. Made my own front air vents and same another set of Tamiya Porsche wheels on there. I love those wheels. And then inside on the like gauge clusters and such, that's the guy on eBay. Is it Very Best Model Car Parts or decals?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
they're very nice decals. I mean, they're not like a slide one. You basically cut them out and glue them in, but they're super detailed and super nice. But, yeah, it's an underrated car. I think that Corvette I did there. It doesn't get as much attention, and there's actually a lot done to that car.
Which ones are you taking to Acme with you?
I am taking the 55 300, the 56 pickup. I'm probably going to take the Red Devil Camaro and the STI. I'm debating on the Ranger. It's not really the Ranger. Kind of, I hate to say it, but it's a lot of Bluetooth. It's a SEMA truck, but it looks good sitting there. So I might take it, but I don't know. We'll see. But my focal point's going to be 55.
So you mentioned 3D printing. Do you have a 3D printer?
Yep. Right behind me here is a Mono 4K.
Okay.
It was a big learning curve. At first, I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. I hadn't used the computer in probably 10 years prior to that. So it was a learning curve to get used to a computer again, and then figuring out how to size everything and print everything. And then once I caught on to that, I was able to take other files that you got from Colts and start joining them together and start not only making my own stuff, but heavily modifying that they're not exactly what you bought offline. So.
And what software do you use to modify?
I'm using Slicer and then the factory on my laptop 3D filer that I have on there. I go back and forth too.
You guys with your 3D printers are inspiring me. Maybe I have to put that on my list for
it's a game changer as far as that goes. You buy something from somebody and it might be sized a little too big or too small, and then you're like, well, you just fire it back up, make your adjustments, and away you go. There's no one makes a Whipple for that LT5, but I was able to shrink it down a little bit, widen it, and you get it to fit just perfect. It's a huge game changer if you don't have one.
The Unicorn that I just built, I had to increase the seats by 7% because they just look too small to me. So I sized them up a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, it's a big positive there, being able to adjust your own stuff and do what you got to do.
Yeah,
and if you break something, you're building something, and you break it, or heaven forbid you drop it and step on it, and you don't have to wait 9 weeks for another one to come. Just hit print, and here comes another one.
Right, and I like to build a mock-up motor. Just print 2 motors, and that way you have a mock-up motor for the kit, and then just build a real one later.
Yeah, I think the 3D printing thing is becoming sort of like a standard piece of equipment. It's going to be required for modeling.
Yeah, not to say I don't still kit bash and scratch build stuff, but
you do quite a bit.
Yeah, still do a lot of scratch building and kit bashing to build everything. Sometimes I'll buy 3-4 kits just to make one. That's what you gotta do.
Imagine what you could do in James's basement there.
I appreciate the attempt at the insult there, but he's just
No,
as
no.
bad. It's just as bad over there. That
That's just one wall.
How deep is your stash, Ryan? How many?
About 9 tall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 deep, and that's one row. Then there's another row behind it, and then there's a bunch still at my garage. So,
well, we'll get you.
So I'm not as bad as some. My girlfriend likes to think I have a huge problem, but I'm like, I went to my friend's house and he's got 1,000 of them, so I'm not that bad.
Yeah, unless if you've got under 1,000, that's rookie numbers.
Yep. I'm still a rookie.
Yeah, very cool collection.
Thanks.
What
all my other builds, I have a garage that's about 30 minutes away. I keep everything in a display case there so they don't get ruined here. Plus, I'm out of space. I got all the RC car stuff and model car stuff all here, so need to put them somewhere else.
Yeah. You mentioned RC stuff. Tell us a little bit about the RC stuff you like to build.
Well, I recently got into the Team Associated stuff. They re-released a bunch of cars, and it hooked me because I had one as a kid, and went from I'll just buy the one to we bought all 4 of them, and then I was like, well, I need to find the other ones I had as a kid, and bought a couple of HPI ones, and yeah, it's been a money pit, but it's been fun. Like this one right here. This one's been it's done like in the Celine Tim Allen library.
That's cool.
Super nice.
Have you learned anything from RC building that's applicable to regular static models?
Can't say I have. It's probably been the opposite way, where I pay attention to doing the details and color matching things and such on that more so from doing the model car stuff.
Okay.
Yep.
You've taken the model car building skill set and applied it to remote controls.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a recent development. So I've been building as many model cars because I've been messing with those a lot lately. So,
well, is there any aspect of model building that you struggle with, or wish that you could or better at?
I struggled a lot with carbon fiber decals, especially everyone loves the scale motorsports. I struggled terribly with it. It's like my kryptonite, and bare metal foil. I cannot do it for some reason. So most of my all Molotov pens, which I've learned.
Oh, really?
Can't clear over it, but one thing I've learned with it is put it on, let it dry by air for like 2 hours, and then put it in your dehydrator. It won't. If you put it right in the dehydrator, it will dull out, almost look like a billet look. But if you let it like air dry for a few hours, then bake it, it seems to stay more chrome. At least that's what's by it.
I was talking with Mike North the other day about a dehydrator, and he swears by it. Do you cook your 2K clear coats in those?
Yep. And they all laugh at me at work. I bring in my dehydrator, like, what sounds like my mini paint booth curing? So I throw, because I clear everything at work instead of at home, so I don't have an air compressor here. So that's
okay.
I'd like to eventually get set up. There's no windows in this basement, so I eventually have to drill a hole in the wall and duct it all out. So eventually I'd like to do air, I need to do airbrush. I have to take it to work, and then I bring my little dehydrator in and dry it there.
Because he was telling me that I need to get myself a dehydrator.
It's a game changer too. It's another one that speeds up your builds like that. And you're saying 4 weeks. That's how I was able to do it. Dehydrate everything and throw it in there for an hour or two at like 90 to 110 degrees, and next thing you know, you're handling it and going again. Which to my eye dries fast by itself. But I used to take a hair dryer and like kind of just hold it back and dry it. Now the dehydrate, throw it in there and start building something else that I need to on the car and let it cure,
Do you find yourself you don't have to cut and buff as much if you dehydrate it?
I still have to cut and buff because I'm in my basement here. Dust and the kids will be jumping upstairs and they're rattling everything off.
Right.
So I still have to do some cut and buff, which is another one I struggle with. I gotta start doing more of that and George has been saying, man, you gotta cut and buff your stuff. It really make a big difference. And it's another area I need to, because I'm so scared of burning through and having to restart everything. You know,
Right.
The 300, I had a oops with that. I was masking to do the red and peeled it off, and it lifted an edge, and I had to reshoot the whole thing. And so,
Do you spray?
Go ahead.
Do you
I
spray?
said, no,
What do you use to? Do you spray your 2K through an airbrush or like a bigger touch-up?
yeah,
gun?
I spray it through an airbrush. I have it's more of a, like, instead of doing the ball style, mine's more of a trigger. It's like a G22 or something like that. I forget who makes it. I have terrible memory. So, but yeah, it's more of a trigger style, which is more comfortable because I'm used to, full size cars using a big paint gun instead of trying to do that, and just a lot more familiar to me.
You use 2K at work, I assume. So
Yeah.
Do you thin it down quite a bit?
No, it's actually the clear I'm using. It's an Exalta. It's a 776. What is their airbait clear? So it's real thin, and it's meant to dry in 30 minutes without baking it or anything. So
wow.
yeah, it's meant for small parts. Like, say, you're in a body shop, you're in a high production area, and you forgot the car's due that day, and you forgot to paint a mirror cap or a door handle. It's meant to be able to paint that and dries quickly. It's called Snap Clear. So I've been using that, and I noticed it doesn't lose the detail because it's so thin already from the factory, right from Exalta, and works out pretty good for me.
What's the smallest quantity you can buy of that?
I think you can buy it in quarts. So
okay.
Yeah, most jobbers will break it down into quarts if they don't, sell it that way. But I got a gallon for free, and I'm going on about 5 years now. An ounce of that clear. What I'll usually do is I'll get 4 or 5 cars all ready to go, and 1 ounce, and I'll be able to blast all 5 cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing, say if it's a 3-to-1, I'll do 3-to-1 to 2 part thinner. I thin the shit out of my clears, and then use like a 0.02 needle, so that I'm just misting my coats on.
Yeah, this clears a 4-to-1.
Okay.
Sure, ask you anything there. They've asked you the other way around. Does modeling do anything with your RC hobby? Have you found that working with the one-to-one stuff has helped your modeling?
Yep, they go back and forth. So like at work, I'm super detail oriented with the littlest details and fitments and things like that because of doing this. And then the opposite way here, I tend to want to build things super detailed because I'm used to seeing it all day long, and it tends to overflow. They both back and forth mix with each other, both my hobby and my job, for sure. For sure.
Why is Frank calling you a potty mouth?
Because I said poo poo.
Oh.
He's not used to that.
Such vile language. So, Ron, what do you have planned in the immediate future? And we sort of discussed this a little bit the other day when you come back from Acme. What are you working on?
When I get back, so actually I'm trying to finish this one, which the wheel's gonna fall. This is the re-release of that 69 Boss. I'd like to try to finish it for Atlanta. May happen, may not happen. If it doesn't, when I come back, I will finish. That's my first one to finish. I also do have a die cast I have for a guy that I need to finish up as well. He's been very, very patient on that one. But yeah, that's I don't know if you see the camera there. That has been where I let air dry for a little while and then baked it.
Oh, okay.
That's just Molotov, and that's not sprayed. That's just straight out of the pen. So, that wheel's gone for now.
You'll find that later.
Yep. That's the immediate. Well, those are the immediate two. I don't know other projects I want to. My problem is I get distracted real easy. ADHD. And there it's get this part. And I go do that one, and then I get lost. And 3 months later, I'm back to the one I originally started.
Yeah. How many projects do you have going? Do you have like multiple going on at the same time, or how do you? What's your start?
Almost all those kits that I showed you earlier, they're almost all started. Almost all of them are started in some way or form, or I at least have all the parts in there for the idea when I eventually go to pull the box out. So,
yeah. I'm pretty good about. I don't know how. It's an interesting question for you guys. I'm pretty good about once I start something, I will tend to stick with it. I probably have only got about maybe 10 models that are not finished. I may have started for some reason and then I don't know, I got distracted and move on to something. But usually like once I start something, I mean it may take me a couple of years to get around, or in the case of that Chevelle wagon I did, it might take 7 years to get finished, but I'm pretty good about sticking around. James Tester, how are you about builds? How many do you have going on?
Depends. If it's for YouTube, I have to stick to it because people are looking forward to the next episode. But I have side projects that are off YouTube that I'll get the body painted and the decals on, and then it just sits. It'll sit for a year before I get back to it. Like do it in between projects.
How many do you have sitting right now that are not finished?
1, 2, 3, 5.
Okay, that's not very many. Yeah.
I'll stick to it if I know something's like if I have a meet, like one of our barbecues or a show coming up, then I can usually stick to it and finish it out. But if it's just me randomly sitting down to build something, I might finish it. I might not finish it.
Yeah. So what's your favorite part? And for me, it's painting and polishing and decals. So what's your favorite part of building?
I love interiors and engines. That's my two that I really love. As you can tell, like that 55 interior, it really sucks that this roof line's so low because that interior is gorgeous on that one. And those are my two favorite. I love doing the engine bays and the interiors. My favorite.
Engine bay is probably the least of my favorites, to be honest.
Really?
And maybe chassis after that. So yeah, I can admire your work.
Thanks. My least favorite is probably glass and lights.
Man, glass is my Achilles heel. Every single model gets screwed up with that glass.
For me, I think it's the mock-up stage. I like getting to the point where I can visualize how it's going to get, how the stance is going to look with wheels and tires and, whatever body mods I'm going to do to something. Once I get it to that, it may sit for a while because I'll just kind of study it. And
yeah, I'm saying that's my other one too. I like seeing how my idea get into a rough shape and then I can stare at it and figure out what colors I'm going to do and
right.
That.
Colors like one of the first things that I look at a bottle of paint and then figure out what color I want to do it with. But it's almost like the starting point is color.
That's my last point. What colors am I going to paint everything?
Huh.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Ryan. I will ponder a color choice for a while.
Mm-hmm. I'll usually message about 10 different of my buddies and what do you think of this color combination? What do you think of that? Until we kind of get a unanimous color choice a lot of times.
James?
I'm just appreciating the fact that he says he hates engines and chassis, but he was kept in full detail for like builds for the longest time. If you went and broke into that cabinet behind it back there's a lot of things that are fully plumbed and wired and everything else like that. So for somebody who hated doing it, he sure did it a lot. Now box talk, and he's like, "Oh no, I hate that." No, you don't. Or you didn't at one time anyway. You made
It didn't at one time, right? Yeah, I don't, not anymore.
Mr. Duff, how many projects do you have started unfinished?
I thought I was getting away with that. That's why I was sitting over here grinning. I was like, you notice how they keep on asking me that question? Because like, what do you define as started?
If you've cut, well, I won't cut parts off the sprue because I think everybody does that. If you've got sub assemblies glued together, that's started.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 things currently like sitting here that are in some form or fashion started. There's probably another, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 that are, in some, I painted the engine and then I, flit it off to the next thing. Or I have a GTR where I haven't painted the body, and I know I'm going to paint it Bayside blue, so the chassis is painted because it's a unibody car, so obviously the chassis has to be painted before you can do anything else with all the suspension stuff. So the chassis is painted on that, but the rest of the car isn't. Ryan, do you paint your body first before you do everything else, or do you build it like as you go in the body? Because I know you're dragging it to work, so that's like a little different than the rest of us, but
it depends on what the car is. Sometimes I paint the body first, and then I do all the rest of it. And there are times where I build everything else, paint everything else, and the body is the last thing I paint.
Wow, that's a big risk.
I know I keep pointing at the camera. I'm trying to point over here to him as his box. He paints all the stuff first. A couple other people I know that swear by first thing we're going to do is do the body work and paint it and get the whole thing done. And that's like, to me, it's like, if I do all of that and get the body all perfect and then it doesn't fit in the end. I know Mr. White Glue Review, he knows if it's going to fit or not, but there's an awful lot of work to put into it because painting is not my Achilles heel, but just the thing I'd like to do the least because it's I got to clean all this stuff up after I'm done with it, and I can argue anytime, anywhere that the amount of painting I have to do is going to take longer than I have currently to do it. It's always one of those. I'm going to paint these 3 pieces of body, but it's going to be at least a half an hour to tear everything down and then go backwards from that. And like, I don't have 2 hours to do this right now, so I'll do it later, kind of thing. But
that 55 was painted the week before NL East, the body. I had everything else done. I kept on test fitting it, make sure it fits. Obviously, be perfect. Painted it, didn't fit together. I make some adjustments here and there. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I usually wait in the body is. It seems like there's always some adjustment I have to do at the very end.
Well, I noticed you tried to sneak that past it, that you're going to finish that Mustang before Atlanta. Isn't Atlanta this weekend coming?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's what.
I mean, the interior is painted, the engine's painted, the body's all painted, polished, decaled, wheels are all painted. So it's some assembly, which we'll see if it gets done. It probably won't be, but I like to stay optimistic and tell myself I'm going to get it done, and I know it won't. So
I've noticed recently it's like too many squirrels. Like if I could, I joked with my wife the other day that I just could pack all the stuff up and move it someplace else. So if it's not here, I can't, and I don't have access to it, then I can't poke through it. Just keep a very limited supply. And I know it's because I'm not going to sell it because God forbid it would cost me 10 times more to buy it than I paid for it the first time for a lot of the stuff. But it's like, if I didn't, I was sitting here and I was working on something. I talked to James about this a little earlier. I run a separate Facebook page and a separate website, and of all things, I got a contact from Facebook saying, "Hey, if you don't respond with your information on this, you're going to lose your payout for it." And I had jokingly signed up for like ad share with Facebook on something, and like they're like, "Oh yeah, like if you don't give us, you don't create a W-9 for this, we're going to just flush the $225 you've earned from this away." And I was like, "Holy crap! I made money with ad share." And then I'm sitting there doing some work with that today, and I like look over here to my side, and I was like, I have this GTR that I could start. No, I haven't done anything on any model for like a month now. Last thing I do is pull a brand new kit down and start chopping pieces off of it.
That does make a big difference. When I first moved in here with this house with this girlfriend, I only had a couple kits, and I could actually focus and get those ones done. And I started bringing a couple more, and now the stash is here, and yeah, it has not helped at all.
That's pretty common.
Yeah.
Do you guys build? you guys all build like multiple models at the same time, or do you stick to one at a time?
It depends. Sometimes there's two going on, but usually it's that one that I'm focused on.
Yeah, just one.
Mhm.
Personally, I will run more than one at a time and see what pulls my attention. Because usually, if I have a clean bench, I finish something, I'll start 3 or pull one down that's already started and fiddle around with it. And something will eventually interest me more than the other two, and that'll be what I work on. And
Yep.
farewell, say la vie to the shelf of doom. Go off the other two.
Yep.
Somebody's gonna go through these models at some point and be like, "Why are half of this shit started? Why would you do that?"
I build in a sort of an assembly line style, so I'll typically have 3 or 4 going on at the same time because I like to maximize my efficiency in painting. So, like, if I'm going to paint, black chassis, I'll just paint 4 at the same time, and so yeah, probably takes me a little bit longer to get done, but I know that once I commit to it, I'm going to get it done because I've got the parts painted and stuff.
Yeah, I've done that before. Like the wheel color that's on this, it's a green titanium. It's also the same color I'm doing on a OBS Chevy pickup for their wheels. So like I grabbed all that stuff I was gonna do it, and I'll paint it at once because I knew that color was gonna be out. My airbrush and did them all together, but I write it back in the box it goes, and I won't keep working on that one. I just like you're saying, the paint efficiency. I have the color out. I'm gonna do all the parts I know that need that color. And
yeah.
So.
Are you like a step-by-step? I'll explain this in a second, but like a step-by-step builder, or the cut it all off? Like if you have stuff that you don't need, do you leave it attached to the sprue until you need it, or do you take everything off all at once and hope you remember what the hell was right and left-handed later on? Because like there's so many. You're just sitting here talking the other day with me and a couple of friends, like Tamiya stuff. Like there's 2 suspension uprights. B21, B22, one goes to the left, one goes to the right. You cut them both off. Well, I hope I remember which one of these 2 identical parts was for which side of the suspension. 6 months from now when I get around to it.
I'm all over. There's times where I leave everything on. If I'm not familiar with the kit, I should say, I won't cut everything off. Or if it's that similar, then I'll keep them on. But if you can tell clear as day what the difference are, I'll cut everything off. I don't have a rhyme or reason with a lot of my building, unfortunately.
Well, you see all those ASMR guys that are all like tick 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 tick, and they shunk it all into a pile and shove it off to the side. And you're like, I don't know what half that stuff goes to now. I hope you do. I hope that you're like good at matching shapes on that little sprue map on the back of the instruction sheet, because it's all Greek to me now. Because
I think that's where like working on the real cars helps me. Like I know, look at the part it is, where it goes to, things like that. And I'm used to like. My real garage, you go in there and I could dump out a bucket full of bolts. I'm like, yeah, that's a 10 millimeter for that car and that. And my buddy was always like, how the hell do you look at that stuff and know that's a bolt for 96 Ford Ranger and not how do you know that? I'm like, just that's how my brain works, and I can pick up on stuff like that.
I'm one of those guys that cuts all the parts off.
I do too.
Yeah, and I will occasionally suffer the pain of like, oh, I put that on wrong side because I didn't realize it.
Yeah. Or you put something together. Oh, that was supposed to go first.
Yeah.
I don't pay that much attention to the instruction sheets. I mean, I sort of do. I've built enough models. I can identify parts. I can usually pretty much figure out what it is and how it goes together. But there's sometimes that certain kits, like it does require like, things that are built in a certain order.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not paying attention to the instructions, I've gotten caught. We're like, oh, wait, I glued this suspension all together, and now I can't fish the exhaust pipe underneath.
Yep.
I think I remember something about that charger that you can't do one before the other, and I can't remember what it was, but I'll figure it out again when I build the
new charger.
Yeah. Something with that front cradle. I remember that I put it together and then couldn't do something else.
Yeah, there is something I can't think of it either because that is an issue. That's one
Yeah.
I did forget about.
Yep.
I think the
Then
new,
you have our favorite things where you get a reference, shall you say, to the how you build it, and yeah, it's your best guess. I see jam up so many people because they're so used to building an interior by gluing the dashboard in and gluing the door cards on and all that stuff. And if you try to do that and then shove that into the body, no, the dashboard attaches to the like underside of the hood from the inside, the door cards attached to the side of the body from the inside, and then the rest of the chassis platform goes up inside. If you glued it all together and try to chuck it in there, it ain't fitting, not today, not tomorrow, not ever again in your lifetime.
Right.
That would probably catch me up.
Yep. And sometimes you can't put the door panels in before the dashboard because it sandwiches in so tight. You have to put the dash in first and then the door panels slide into place. Yeah. Yeah.
I'd say there was somebody, I can't remember what they were building, it might have been one of the Aston Martins, where they had to put the door panels in through the window from the outside in order to get them to go in and fit. So you get like you get these little 2 pages of CAD images that have all the part numbers and everything all on them, and then it's just like, hey, now that you have it all attached, good luck getting it all together. I got I think it might be this AMG Black Series, or it may be the instructions to something else, but it actually for once had a image of the car upside down with the dashboard and the door cards inserted like into the body. It's like finally, after 5 years of doing this, they finally got the idea that they need to tell people where this stuff goes in the order it needs to go in before they snap their $160 resin kit in half by cracking a door panel or snapping the roof off the car or something, or winging it across the room like a 13-year-old.
Can't say I've ever done that. I've never thrown one or smashed one in anger.
It's been, I think I threw one kit one time in my life, and I was like 13, 14 years old.
I did once.
Yeah, so here's a great example. I'm not going to show up, but so this is the instructions to that AMG Black. So you have the thing up here that tells you how to put the dashboard together. Yeah, it's all fairly comprehensive, right? It's how you put a dashboard together all the time. Then you have this part over here that tells you how to put the center console in, how to do the door panels, and all these numbers like photo etch and decals, stuff like that. And then down here it shows it like complete, all glued together. Don't do that. It ain't gonna fit that way. Like, why would you? And that literally is there, and it says put decal 22 on, which is the ventilation controls in this car. Like, I think they literally just forgot to put that on this page, and so they created another step. Just that's literally the only thing that says put one decal on. Like, no.
Yeah, you have to study those instructions and study them again.
If you had the really early versions of these, the parts didn't come numbered. And so then you're sitting there with like 50 little bits of resin. Like they'll do stuff where like the air vents are separate and the radio controls are separate, and they have all these tiny little round or trapezoidal pieces, and they all look the same, and they're all attached to a really long piece of resin, stub about this long with like 9 little holes poking off of it. And you're like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know Ferraris that well to be able to identify these pieces just by looking at them.
Yeah. I've had some fun with some of the test shop models that I've built, especially the models. I get to be the first person to even build one, and there is no instruction sheet. So I get a series of CAD drawings, and then I'm like, a bunch of parts. I'm like, they, may not even have I think there was the first time I built a Ford pickup, I'm not even sure the parts were numbered yet on the sprue. So basically just like, these things sort of fit together. And there's a lot of test fitting and kind of trial and error to like, learn how to put it together.
At least with those Ford pickups, there's only like one version in the box. There's no spare parts whatsoever. So you
right. But it took me, the windshield install is really weird in those things, right? It pops in from the front, and you gotta, it's totally backwards from the way most windshields in a model kit come in from the inside. I wrestled with that thing for quite a while, and kind of went back and forth between, I think, Dave Metzer, and he was like, "Oh, I think it's supposed to go in from the outside." And I'm like, "What? That's crazy." But yeah, fun stuff.
Sorry. Turn the lights off on that one. That battery's never getting changed ever. That car's not coming apart.
Well, does anybody have anything else before we ask the outro question?
Do it. Go for it.
Go for it, man.
All right. So something we steal proudly from the Plastic Posse podcast is their Magnus Open build. And what that means is there one thing or series of things, could be a bigger project, could be a diorama, something like that, that would be the one model project, or look at this way, if you're stranded on a desert island, you only had one thing to build. What thing would that be? Like, what is the one thing like you would really love to do? Obviously you're a young guy, you got a lot of runway out in front of you compared to some people, but is there one like project that sticks in your mind? Because there's no Dodge Neon model, so you can't do that.
There's Ranger ones, but those Ranger kits are not as good as you think.
I've looked
at. There's so many things wrong with those kits, but is there one kit I would like to build like over and over again? I don't mind the 69 Camaro kits. That's one I've had a ton of those, and I just like building those. I've built a bunch of those over the years.
The Revell one?
Yeah. It's one I actually really like.
Yeah,
even though I have like every version of the Mustangs, you're from Fox Body to SNs. I haven't built any of them. I haven't finished any of them, but I finished a bunch of those Camaros. So
yeah, I know he's gonna pull that Neon promo out because he just got that this weekend.
I did.
His Neon is not the same Neon though.
That's a challenge car.
Yeah.
The challenge or a celebrity?
Celebrity.
Yep. How you know him?
Oh no, it says challenge on the front. High challenge.
Yep. Yeah, I had a couple of those. I actually did one of those. A buddy of mine races those at a circle track. I used one of those and made a full scratch built cage and put slicks on it and made it just like his up the racetrack. Actually,
I keep trying to.
His has a SRT4 neon front bumper on it, so I had a 3D print an SRT bumper and put it on that Brooksfield they had there.
I keep trying to talk to the resin designers to make the files for an SRT4. I'd really like to build one.
Yeah, there's a die cast that they had, but those die casts are $300 right now. They're through the roof.
Ooh.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah,
Mice made one, didn't they?
Yep, it's a 124th, and they're through the roof for the price. And at one point they're like $40. Now they're $300. Selling for.
Yeah. Ryan, is there a kit that you've wanted to build, but maybe you've been too intimidated to try it or tackle it?
The one kit I have in here that I want to do, but I know it's a tough one because of all the flashing. Do you remember the 57 Fuelie that Revell did, Monogram did years ago with the doors opening, trunk? It's black on the box and has like Corvette wheels.
It's the Hot Rod series of the old 60 Revell kit. Yeah,
it's a 57 Fuelie. That thing is got a lot of casting flash and a lot of issues, and it's one I really want to build because I was given it as a kid, but I just haven't gotten to it because it just, I don't know, something about it just
intimidating.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's because everything opens and all the flash, and I don't know.
So that would take the wheels and the engine parts that you may need out of that and go find either the Ed Roth version that Revell did right before they went bankrupt or the Atlantis reissue, because that's the same thing. That's where that tooling wound up. At least the body was massaged a little bit in the in the 2010s, where it's not as flashy and not as bad, or find an original like 1964 issue, because then it hadn't been left to rot for all those years.
I honestly think what I'm going to do with that kit is I have a 57 Nomad. I think I'm going to cross the two and use the door jams and all that kind of stuff to make that a full opening show car.
That'd be fun.
Yep, that and some Foose Caddy pieces in it, like the chassis and the interior, that nice flowing console. Like that's what I'm gonna probably kit bash all three of those together. So one day
in 3 weeks for NNL East. Tune in later.
Yep, 3 weeks bash time. Yep.
So
Ryan,
here's a question. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, mine was like a group question. So go ahead.
I was going to ask you, if you could have one all brand new kit, what would you pick?
So, like that's currently out, or
No, like if you're in charge of a model company and you're like, oh, I want to do a brand new kit, what car would you want to do, or an all new kit of?
That is a tough one.
SRT4 it is.
There we go. SRT4. That or a newer Ranger. I'm a Ranger guy. That's my other one I really like. I just wish they do newer cars. That's always my biggest one, is the newer cars. I like doing them, and that's where I'm at with them. But I can't think of anything new, because really newer cars, a lot of them don't turn me on as much as, everything's kind of starting to look cookie cutter and the same, and it's kind of tough to say what I would like. What I would like is, I think, was it that the guys from over in Ukraine that do all the 3D scale stuff, they're finally making the 2015 to current Challenger dash interior and pieces.
Yeah.
That's what I've been, because everyone's been doing Hellcat conversions, but it's always got the wrong interior and wrong everything else. He's finally doing all that stuff for that kit, which Revell needs to re-release that kit. That was a decent kit they did. The one with the red.
They're doing it for the AMT. They're doing it for the AMT snapper, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
But still,
I think the Revell one's a nicer kit between the AMT and the Revell. So
to say that kit in the Magnum were fun, just because the Magnum was from a die-cast and they have the same engine in them, but if you ever get the two blocks side by side, the block out of the die-cast is about 1.5 inches longer than the block out of the Challenger.
Well, yes, the Magnum.
Somebody
block,
scaled that incorrectly somewhere along the line.
The Magnum block is huge compared to the Challenger kit. It's huge. That is a favorite kit of mine. The LX platform stuff, the Charger, the Challenger, the Magnum. Those are my favorites too. I have another Magnum build in the horizon too.
Ooh.
Have you ever seen my other one? It was a red Magnum. It had a older Charger front end on, and then it has a Fujima bicycle rack with a yellow Trek bike on it, ski rack.
Cool.
That was the first one I did, and now this one I want to keep the original front end, but it's gonna have a 392 Scat Pack motor in it, and has a R35 GTR wheels on it. They look really good on there. Really good on there.
Was the one that had the Charger front end? Did you swap that Charger, or was that like the resin body?
That was one of the Jimmy Flintstone bodies.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just got that body from Mr. Tester.
Yep. Yeah, it took a little bit of work to get that one to fit nicely. You have to massage the light areas and windows a lot. And that one I made the sunroof slide back. That's just, like it's opened.
Okay.
So I grind the whole underside. The roof is really thick.
Yeah.
So I grind a whole nice pocket out of that so the sunroof glass could sit back and glue it in. Yep. That was a fun one.
All right. So my group question here, since we are for everybody who's come in since the very beginning of the episode here, this is our last episode for 2024. We will be back in 2025, and so don't worry about that. But it's going to be a little holiday break for everybody, so you don't have to worry about what you're doing on your Mondays, the day, 2 days before Christmas, because our episode would have lined up that week. Hey guys, I know we're not doing anything important. Let's do this 2 days before Christmas. But it would be something I was listening to on another podcast. And it was an interesting question. I'm going to tweak it a little bit, but it was like, what are you trying to accomplish with your hobby? Like for a lot of people, it's, I would like to get published in a magazine, Well, I've achieved that. I got into one of the Scale Auto contest annuals. That was always one of my goals as a kid. I always wanted to be in the Scale Auto contest annual. I don't need to be featured in the magazine. I'm not writing an article. I build box stock race cars, so nobody's going to be writing an article about me. But getting into that was always something I wanted to do. Or is it, not necessarily that we trophy chase per se, but is it getting an award at a specific show? Like I know for a lot of people, getting a top 10 at Acme would be something that's not, like a lifetime achievement award. You're not going to get very many of those. It's the people's choice, and it's a very limited number of those given out every year. Is it getting best at show at something? Is it being recognized for something? So, as we close out the first season here, is what are you looking to get out of the hobby in the future, Mr. Tester?
I want to grow my YouTube channel. I want to be 100,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Well, that was bold and out of the gate right there.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what my goal is. 100,000.
Maybe if you start smashing your models, that might get enough.
Do you like it? Do you like it? Well, I set it on fire.
Whistle and Diesel, the model
Yeah,
cars.
exactly. Right.
Right.
That's probably
just,
what it take.
just kind of keep doing what I'm doing little bit different than everybody else, and hopefully it all catches on to a bigger audience.
Mr. Svensson, it's hard for you. You're Mr. Box Art Builder down there for two different box art drawer, I should say, for two different companies. Box Art Builder for one of them. I mean, you certainly have enough recognition within the hobbies, more on the insider side perhaps than outside facing. But like you said at the show, people were walking up to you, talking about seeing you on the podcast. So that's a fun new development in your life.
Yeah, that's a great question. I was like, man, I've accomplished like a lot of the things I've always ever really wanted to do. So I'm trying to think of like, really, I'd like to build 100 more models. I've got so many ideas to build things, and I really only get, I maybe build 3 or 4 completed, a year if I'm lucky. And that's too slow. Like I want to increase my rate of, completion, and because I would really like to build 100 more models before I die. So I'd need to step up my game in order to get there.
Don't want to do that math backwards. Okay, I figure I can get to here. How many models I could build a year? I say I will go here. I now that I've sort of become more involved with the IPMS, and people know that I do the few builds that I finish, I do contest model. I would like to get a first place, just class win. I don't need to get best automotive, but I like to get class win at nationals. I've judged at nationals the last couple of years. I've judged IPMS for years beyond that, going backwards. But that to me, because I've been published in a magazine, unless I do something revolutionary that I'm not aware of my capabilities of right now, I'm not going to write an article in any of the magazines for anything. So being published that way is not realistic. Getting to build stuff in advance the way that like Sean and James do, that would be kind of fun too. But again, I realize my limitations in building in a time frame that anyone would like. So yeah, that would be mine, would be getting that recognition of just, a class win at nationals. Mr. Kaiser on the way out, last up.
I would like to place at NL East as the first big show I've ever gone to, and I have yet to ever place there. So that is one I would like to do. Would like to place there. As far as magazine stuff, I've had small features. I wouldn't mind getting a bigger feature. That'd be nice to do too, but that's pretty much my two. And just get better at what I'm doing. I know I have a lot to improve on yet, and just build better stuff and finish stuff.
I say, well, if you saw me doze off and it's for a second staring off on the screen, I was trying to see if they had listed what the 2025 kit was going to be yet, but they haven't updated yet. So, guys, I appreciate everyone joining us. Ryan, thank you very much for coming on tonight. Hopefully,
thank you so much.
Less nerve-wracking than you thought it would be.
Yeah, a little less. I was definitely never done anything like this, so it was a learning experience for sure. It was a good time.
Well, we appreciated you sharing your models with us.
Thank you.
James and Sean. I want to thank both of you guys for giving me your Monday nights every other week for the last 7 months, for agreeing to the crazy idea of doing some sort of podcast or video cast with us. My personal goal is, we have this gap, is to get all of the back episodes actually up online in the audio format that I've been threatening for the last 7 months. And so when we start out in January, the whole back catalog will be there, so everybody can go back and listen back. And yeah, so thank both of you guys for joining in this little wild adventure for 2024. We'll have the course we're back in January. And again, everybody who's watching, thank you guys for helping make this a great success for us. Really appreciate the regulars who come in every week, every couple weeks. Gotten to know quite a few of these people, personally. Frank and is our big supporter there, who has something sarcastic to say every 20 minutes over there. It keeps us chuckling. and meeting Tim, and I know Steve Courtney for years now, and so just, it was great to have see all you guys, meet all you guys, and yeah, thanks for making this year a success for us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
We weren't expecting this big of a turnout.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks, Mr. Duff and Mr. Tester, for having me as part of the team. I've had a lot of fun this year.
Of course. We love having you.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
absolutely, Ryan.
Say we got a whole, of course, now is we start out here and there's a whole flurry of comments. Let's see if there's anything there. So a bunch of people are looking forward to seeing you, Ryan, at Acme. And yeah, so with that, guys, that'll wrap it up for this one. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you guys on the other side.
See you in
25. Thanks, guys. Bye.